I am going to put together a small match-on action edit with in a dialogue. So what I've done is I've created just these back and forths between two shots over the shoulder and then a closer up shot. And then you have this camera here that's a little bit more of a longer shot, and cutting to here. So what I'm looking at is I'm looking for things that are interesting that they might be doing with their hands. So I've already edited this kind of gesture, repeated in this camera view. And then I'm looking at her touching her face and see how her hand is going counterclockwise. And so I'm looking for that moment here, and there it is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and zoom in, and I'm using my arrow tools to find the perfect frame where her hand is on her face and it's really zoomed in. And then I'm going to bring that in and find that moment here, and it's right about there. There. Looks like the same moment, so I'm going to drag that in. I have snap to guides on here, so that when I can hit delete on my keyboard and it just snaps between those two. Okay, so this is my A camera audio, and I can just see by the levels here there's some room noise and there's some clipping, and it's not very good audio. This was shot in class last semester. The students made it. But I can see that this is the camera that I want to use. But there may be an instance where you want the audio from both cameras. So why don't we go ahead and do that? I'll just take mute off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my effects and look for an audio transition. There's two audio transitions that are useful for us in this project. One is exponential fade and the other is constant power. I'm going to go ahead, and if I type in fade, exponential fade will pop up, and all it will do, it will fade in my audio. And I want, because I'm using both A and B camera audio, I want this to kind of fade in slowly until it gets to the close-up. And let's see how that looks and sounds. Okay, so that's fine. And you can also see that there's a serious problem with color in here. So we're going to work in color more in depth, but there is a quick color tutorial that you can look at that shows you how to use the Lumetri color workspace. So I could just go into there and give you a quick sort of tour of that. If I have the clip selected, I can see there is a white balance arrow. It's usually a little too strong. I'm not going to use it here. I'm just going to give myself a little more space on the timeline. So a little more room. And select the clip that I want to edit, and I can see that this is way too yellow, and I'm comparing it to this. I mean, this color transition is horrible. Let's turn this off, and so I'm going to grab that clip, and I'm going to play around with these knobs until they look better. We're going to go into how you choose which knobs at a later time. But I can certainly get this close. So it's really blue, and it needs to be warmer to match this. It also needs to be much darker with a higher contrast. And I'm going to bring the blacks, make them a little bit darker so that it matches this a little bit more. And you can still see her sweatshirt is very red, and here it's very green. So I can do that a little bit, but then the walls start to go pink. I can also bring down the magenta here to kind of even it out. And then you can see the color match is better. I'm going to bring the exposure up a little bit, and I'm going to bring the contrast down a little bit just to make them match a little bit more, and that looks way better. And just to show you the difference, if I select the clip and go into effects controls, everything I'm working on is here, and I can just turn that off. And so I went from that to that just by messing with the color. And so now the sound and the color looks a little better. I'm going to, in the next video, I'm going to show you another way to cut your event score.